Next up is the session Bloomberg Beyond the Code: Culture, Collaboration, and the Future of Innovation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nikita Austin. I am the person who does marketing and communications for the data team at Bloomberg. So excited to be here. This is my second year on stage at BTF. So really, really happy to be here. And it's an honor to have my colleagues and friends come on stage with me. And we'll get this panel started. Look at technology working. So I told you a little bit about me. I work on our data, communications, and marketing, and I've been at Bloomberg for almost 4 years now. This is a very important number. When you work at Bloomberg, our tenure is a big part of our identity. So I will let our panelists talk a little bit about themselves, and then we'll get into the panel.
Thank you. So, to introduce myself, my name is Femi Puponga. I've worked at Bloomberg for 21, 22 years now. So yes, tenure can be a big thing. It feels as though I'm part of the furniture there, but it's been an amazing time. I am an engineering manager, so I manage teams of software engineers based here and in the States, and it's great to be here. So, thank you.
I'm Sumto Wobadu. I'm a data management professional, and I've been at Bloomberg for 4 months. Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Samuel Asilaba. I'm a data and analytics engineering lead. I have been at Bloomberg for just over a decade, and it's really exciting to be here and see how much everything's changing over the time I've been here.
Hi, my name is Okwe Faja Morocco. I'm a software engineering team lead. I've been at Bloomberg for 6 years, 11 months, and 10 days, but I'm not counting.
I don't know how these things happen. Like 20 years? You look like you just walked in here, Femi. Like, I don't. What?
Amazing, thank you.
But, like, black doesn't crack at Bloomberg, apparently.
It's 20 years at Bloomberg is not uncommon. You know, there are a lot of you sort of come in and you get into the culture, which is really amazing. There have been times that I've thought of moving on. That is true, but because we've got such a wide diversity of engineering teams, of different kinds of projects and stakeholders we can work with, it feels very much every time I've changed the team as though I've moved to a new company in terms of the product, but kept the amazing culture at Bloomberg. So there hasn't been any real need for me to kind of step away from that. So yes, 20 years on.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, as we know, Bloomberg is known for being very fast-paced, forward-thinking, innovative, all of the above. But innovation is really encouraged, and it's really expected of us every single day. So I want to know, what does Bloomberg's culture of innovation mean to you personally in a deeper way? Somto, would you like to go?
Okay. For me, being part of Bloomberg's culture of innovation means working in an environment where we are constantly asking how we can make things better for our customers, our colleagues, the environment. And I've come to realize that working at Bloomberg, innovation isn't necessarily about a technology or new technology or about a department. It's about the mindset. It's about curiosity, collaboration, and generally having the courage to question the way that we've always done things. I'm currently working as a data management professional at Bloomberg, which means that I'm driving quality metrics for the data on the terminal. And in my team, I'm exploring ways that I can use AI to improve different things, like certain aspects of that process. And that's just some of the things that we do with innovation in the company. And what it drives me to do is to keep learning. Like I spend time listening to industry leaders, I take courses, I read books, I collaborate across teams, and I generally feel like that is what really matters. It's about being curious and open-minded enough to evolve and adapt before you're forced to do so.
Ope, would you like to give us your insight?
Yeah, I think Sumta has explained it very well. But for me, the culture of innovation has to do with pretty much two things. So questioning what is existing and also looking to improve things. So just because things have been done a certain way for a certain number of years, it doesn't mean that we have to continue to go down that route. And in terms of improving, it's not just improving for improving's sake. So we're improving so that we can have the right solutions to the different problems. So whether that's taking into account increasing performance, scalability, longevity, maintainability, even just making your code easier to read for your team. Those are things that we're kind of encouraged to do as well. And something to touch on as well is collaboration. So we're also encouraged to kind of reach out to different people within the firm, people that have different technical expertise, business expertise, and kind of see how they can influence our ideas and make them even better. And for me as a team lead, that's also part of my role as well, to kind of make sure that within my team, I'm also fostering that environment for people within the team, regardless of their tenure, to be able to kind of question the status quo, spot gaps, spot opportunities within the team. And for me, that's very exciting. I think one last thing to add is also, for me, the most exciting part is when new people join my team as well, because they start to ask questions, oh, why is it done a certain way? The first thing you might think of is saying, oh, it's always been like that, and then you have to stop and think and actually give a reasonable answer, and depending on that, that could be the start of a new project within your team as well. So.
It's true. I think new joiners really challenge us to check ourselves all the time. And that could be from different teams, different disciplines, so different companies as well. Now let's get into the collaboration. We know that collaborating across teams and technical disciplines is super important, but obviously we have engineers here, we have data professionals here, so there are definitely some distinct ways of thinking that we use to approach our different challenges. Can you guys give me a sense of what are the differences between the software engineers and the data professionals?
That's a very interesting question that you asked there. The lines are definitely starting to blur now, but when we talk about collaboration and innovation, I think one of the things that we need to think through is how can we get the best and surface the best ideas. And the best ideas can come from anywhere, and this is what's really the driving factor of what we are able to do when it comes to bringing and bridging the innovation gap. You both mentioned that when we have new people joining, we are constantly questioning how and why are we doing this, and how could we improve what we're doing. So that in itself is just creating that culture where people can ask those open-ended questions and really not feel shy in terms of being able to think, how can we do this in a different way? And when it comes to engineering and data, how we tend to collaborate is we sit closer next to we sit a lot closer to the customers, so we tend to interact with the business, we tend to interact with our users, and we get a lot of feedback. So within my team, I have a product manager that really sits and engages with the end users and then brings that insights back to us. We then do a lot of prototyping and developing a lot of MVPs, POCs, which we then sit down with engineering and think of how can we scale this. And this is where the collaboration starts to happen, and this is where we start to think, okay, we've been able to develop this small prototype, but how can we apply it across the board? And this is where someone like Femi's expertise really lends to us being able to build and think in systems, and it's definitely one of the ways we tend to collaborate between the two departments.
So maybe I can add a bit to what Sam said. In some ways, so I manage various software engineering teams. We work very, very closely with our data counterparts, and that collaboration yields a lot of fruits in many different ways. But there still has some differences between software engineers and DMPs or data professionals. And it makes sense that they are, because there's different formal training, there's a different kind of team culture in some aspects, and the problem space that they're solving is somewhat different as well. So it does make sense that there are differences. But you find, to Sam's point, there are a lot more similarities than differences. So if I touch on a difference to begin with, DMP or data professionals are very data-centric, as you might expect. They're passionate about data. They want to play around with data models. They want to analyze data. They want to find insights in data. They want to sift out the signal from the noise of data. And at the end of the day, that gold dust of getting data insights that can then inform some kind of decision-making process in terms of what product do we invest in, where do we put in our investment resources into, all that comes from data professionals. So they're super passionate. It's a data-first approach, if you want to say that. Software engineers, on the other hand, have maybe a slightly different mindset in the sense that they want to. So we've come out from SAM, we have some kind of product idea, we've made a decision based on all the fantastic analysis there. It's just an idea at that point. Engineers want to take that idea and build something. That's where they get excited. They want to create something that doesn't exist. And that passion is there to see a final product that can be used. Having said that, a lot of the tools that we use across engineers and DMPs are quite similar. So we do a lot of coding, we both do coding, we both use Python and data science tools. So there's a lot of similarity there. And as Sam mentioned, we work together very closely anyway. We feed back into each other. So yes, there are some differences in terms of mindsets, but there's a lot more that we do together. And I guess the other thing to add to that as well is that in terms of the collaboration, we tend to sit together as well. So you find that Sam sits with some engineering teams and engineering teams sit with Sam. It means there's a lot of osmosis going on, a lot of diffusion of ideas, and at the end of the day, we're building a product together. So yes, some mindset differences are there, but there's a lot more common traits between software engineers and DMPs as well.
Sam, would you like to add a bit about, I'm not saying we're stealing engineers into data, but maybe you can give us some insight on the crossovers you're starting to see.
For example, right now I have an open role in my team, and one of the things that we're starting to see is engineering, people with a lot of engineering experience moving towards data-centric roles. So for example, when we think about really scaling anomaly detection, machine learning models, a lot of that expertise is something that we definitely need. And again, as we're starting to deal with bigger volumes of data, the data being a lot unstructured, and we're starting to leverage a lot of AI tools such as model context protocol, how can we build systems that then allow us to be able to get those insights and surface them back to Femi and the teams that he manages. So it's actually quite interesting to see that transition. So again, we definitely leverage a lot of data engineering and sort of like software engineering skill sets within the data roles. And again, you can start to see there's a little bit more movement than I've seen in the past from data to engineering. From engineering to data, as opposed from data to engineering, which is the much more traditional route that I tend to see.
Yeah, and I'll add that, like, as we're going back to, like, Bloomberg being an open door type of place, like, all of us have different tenures, like, you just can speak to other people in the building. And I think that's one of the most amazing things. It doesn't matter what team you're on, what office you're in, what country you're in, like, we just go and speak to each other. And it's a great part of our culture, I think.
Just to add on to that as well, in terms of how the building is actually structured and designed, in terms of how the seats are, in terms of how we mingle, in terms of our operational kind of hierarchy, there isn't that much hierarchy, and all that is designed to make sure that people can mingle. So, that's a great feature. I think that's one of the reasons why I've stayed in Bloomberg for such a long period of time. You can talk to anyone. The CEO comes to you and wants to talk to you, and you're probably quite terrified about that, but, they're really genuinely interested in what you're doing. So that's an amazing part of it.
On the topic of collaboration, time zones, disciplines, teams, I want to know how collaboration has changed just the way you work and how you do your problem solving. So, Ope, can you take this one?
So for me, collaboration has definitely shaped how I approach problem solving. I've always been someone who likes working with people, and I'm very blessed to kind of work in a team that's a client-facing application. So we own a bunch of client-facing applications, which means that we have quite a few different stakeholders that we interact with. So we have product managers who help us give us the business context behind kind of the projects that we're going to work on. We have the other engineering teams that have technical expertise on applications that my team interfaces with. And we also have the members of my team as well who are either domain experts or maybe they're newer to the team and they have fresher perspectives. So for me, what I've learned is everyone brings something unique to the table. So if a project comes in, we have to collaborate with our product manager to understand why we're building what we're building. Aside that, understanding why also gets you excited to actually work on the project itself. And to add on to that, with our product manager, we're also able to kind of simulate what it's like for the client who's going to be using what we're building as well. So we get like good foundation and good background on the project. And in terms of the other engineering teams, collaborating with them, if we have any issues or we have any problems, we can work with them to kind of get over any hurdles we're facing. And aside that, sometimes these teams can tell you, oh, you're using us for XYZ, but have you actually thought about using this other team's application? So they can actually help with your ideas as well. And for within our team, with working together, we understand our product, we're the domain experts, so we can basically challenge requirements, dissect requirements, and basically just ensure that what it is that we're being told to build is actually feasible and it's something we can do. And the other thing I've learned from kind of collaboration is I can't do everything by myself. I don't know everything. I will never know everything, and I will never claim to know everything. So kind of working with other people, I'm able to learn from them, lean on them as well, and just develop my own skills as a leader and also as an engineer as well. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Sam, can you add a bit more to that and how you drive your results?
Yeah, to add on to everything that you've said, and which I think has been perfectly put, the best idea can come from anyone. And I think being open to new perspectives is something that we definitely value. When it comes to how, for example, my team operates, again, we have product data and engineering all sitting in the same group. It's actually quite exciting to really think through and understand the why. Because I think sometimes people are so excited about technology, but they're not really sure exactly how they're going to solve a particular problem, or what even is the right problem to solve. It's just straight to the solution. So really thinking through about, okay, what is the actual problem we're trying to solve, and then bringing all the people in to get the different perspectives. And again, it takes a village to build something amazing such as this today. And all those different perspectives lend to us being able to innovate and create a new product or create new solutions. And I'm just thinking back recently, we were actually building a new data product, because data products are a thing now. And we actually consulted Femi a couple months back to see how we can solve a particular problem using a tool where we spoke with another engineering team that actually pointed us to Femi's team to be able to implement something that solves a particular problem for a group. And again, it's through the openness, the conversations that we have, understanding the why that we're trying to solve this problem, and taking different perspectives that really yield us towards building a much better product.
So when you come into the Bloomberg office, the first thing you see is this amazing pantry. And when you come in at about 8 or 9, it is awash with just people everywhere, getting a coffee and just getting something to eat. But then you also see a lot of people talking. And I think that's where my best ideas have come from, or the best collaboration I've seen come from. It's people meeting new people or old faces, and just having that 5 minutes to talk about what they're interested in. You find that it's such a prized thing within any Bloomberg office, having that space where people can come together, grab a coffee, and just discuss or meet new people. And that's I think is where we incubate a lot of the ideas within Bloomberg.
Yeah, it's very much of a startup kind of mentality. So again, I remember joining 10 years ago, 11 years ago now as an intern, and I had this idea that I suggested to an engineering manager, who then implemented it, and I was thinking, oh, they're probably not going to do it. But it ended up happening, and that's, again, the best ideas can come from anywhere, so that's really proof that we can actually do something, and you don't have to be tenured to be able to implement and make a change. So again, that's one of the things that I'd really love to encourage anyone that's new or is looking to join the company.
And if you speak to our recruiters, I'm sure someone can get you into the pantry if you really want to.
Recommend it.
Highly recommend it. Any one of us too. So there are obviously rapid advancements in AI. I mean, I think so many of the talks today are about AI and tech, which is amazing. And the data capabilities are also changing. Everything's changing and we're all evolving. Our skills are definitely evolving. So I want to know, what are the technical skills that we need to ensure that we thrive in the future? And I think when I say the future, I'm not talking about 5, 10 years. Like, what do we need for tomorrow? What do we need right now?
Sorry, I'll just start off quickly. I think one of the things is product thinking. Again, really taking a product approach, and that involves taking a data-driven approach as well. Having a lot of empathy and curiosity to improve is one of the things that I've seen like really helpful when it comes to improving a product. What do you guys think?
I agree with everything Sam has said. I think that AI is currently changing the world of work faster than we've ever seen before. And things that used to take teams months to deliver now take them minutes. And what this means is that the skills we value are also evolving. Technical skills will always matter. It will always be important to know how to build and test and deploy models, to understand how to use the AI tools, to understand how to build things generally. But right now, what sets people apart are the more human skills. There are things like empathy, like resilience, like curiosity, like critical thinking. And we find that it's not just my opinion, right? Like we see McKinsey and a couple of companies and lists saying that these are the skills that they think are important because like as the AI is getting better at different things, we have to do the things that they might not be so great at. We have to know how to understand what people actually need and not just what they ask for, and know how to apply the AI meaningfully, like thoughtfully. So it will always be important to learn. So I would advise maybe building things that matter, things that mean something to you, things that solve a problem, because that's really where learning happens. And it can be overwhelming because things are changing very fast, but the important thing is to remain curious and just keep trying to pick up things as you go. And with time, we'll find ourselves evolving along with the technology.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what sometimes Sam have said, and I just want to add on two more skills. The first one for me is definitely curiosity, so that ability to keep learning. And I was speaking with someone recently, and they told me the phrase, you have to keep your brain hot, and I definitely agree with that. So whether that's kind of experimenting in your own time, following people who are kind of, I don't know, tweeting or talking about what's the, I don't know, latest trends or so on, or whether it's even just like debating with your friends about what's going on. You just have to keep on top of things because just because you know how to use a tool today doesn't mean it's going to be the same way 6 months from now or a few years from now. You have to continue evolving. And for me, the second kind of skill as well is just having discernment as well. Because for these tools, the AI tools, we know that they're extremely powerful. I'm sure a lot of us use them day to day. But we know that there is some aspect of bias in those tools. And aside that, not all the time is the information correct. So you need to use some critical thinking, make sure you're fact checking, and you're not using tools blindly. And aside that, if you're in the workplace, I'm sure there's some form of regulations or whatever within your workplace to make sure that you're using tools the right way, whether it's, I don't know, not copying proprietary code into different tools and so on, but just making sure that you're kind of keeping within the lines of what you're meant to do. But yeah, basically, I think curiosity and discernment, those are the skills that as professionals we need to have so that we can make sure that we're also adapting and we're not left behind. But yeah.
So to add on to everything the panel said, I would say to embrace AI. It's here to stay. I think we all know that. But I was reading a report a week or so ago talking about hiring in tech, and it mentioned that pre-pandemic, up until before the pandemic, up till now, that hiring for grads in engineering is down about 40%. And this is a real thing. We do see that a lot of companies are investing in AI and focusing in some ways on more senior hires as opposed to more junior hires. So it's a real thing that we need to contend with. I think the skills that panelists mentioned are fantastic skills to have and to think on. The two things I would add on that perhaps is the critical thinking. I think being able to think critically is such an important thing. I cannot overstate that. The other thing I would also add on to that is I tell and advise junior engineers to try to do hard things. AI makes things so easy. It's easy for you to go into Grok or ChatGPT and find the answer to that piece of code. You should do hard things. It comes in with that critical thinking, being able to solve problems and knowing that you know how to tackle challenges is such a skill that will serve you now and into the future. So AI will advance, AI will get better, it will be smarter, as smart as everyone here. But being able to and knowing you can do hard things means that you use AI as a tool as opposed to AI becoming your master. So it should be a tool in that sense. So that's the other thing I would add to that. But I think fantastic points in terms of what everyone else has said.
Amazing. So moving on to what is our last question before rapid fire, but it doesn't have to be your last question. If you have more things to ask the panel or myself, please do come to us, come to our booth as well. Um, the last thing I want to talk about is just being client facing. These are data professionals, software engineers, but we're all thinking about the clients. It's not just the sales team that gets to meet with clients or speak to clients. I think Ope just got off the plane this morning.
Yesterday.
Oh, last night from a client meeting. So, obviously our clients expect precision, performance. They want everything to be right and right on time. So we're constantly balancing innovation and trying to make new things. So innovation, obviously. So how do you find ways to experiment in this environment, in this high stakes environment, and still maintain the trust and stability for our clients? Would you like to go?
So that is a tricky one, actually, because as you point out, Bloomberg provides services that underpin, the global financial system, from the Fed to the Bank of England to, a lot of the folks in this auditorium, various booths over here. So precision is important. We're talking of a lot of money, on the line. So that's important. What I try to do is within my teams to make sure that there is that psychological safety where people feel they have the space to sometimes make mistakes, and we put in rail guards and safeguards to make sure that if mistakes do happen, we can catch that before it goes out to a user, to a customer. So I think that's important, having a team mindset where we do want you to experiment. When you walk around the Bloomberg buildings, you're seeing lots of different posters that kind of say "Be bold, innovate," and experiment, and that sort of thing. And that's really what we try to do. So we, for example, do things like hackathons, for example. So every quarter, the team has a week where they can spend time experimenting on anything they want to.
I'm joining the next one.
I will send you an invite. You're very welcome to that. So that kind of space. On Fridays we give folks in the team half a day to spend on their projects as well. So creating that psychological safety, creating that space for people to experiment, and making sure you are taking that feedback on. A lot of the products, and there are a number of things I could mention that came out of people spending time in hackathons on the weekend, or just having a thought and spending some time on that. And today they are household functions and products on the Bloomberg terminal that earn a lot of money for the firm. So we are very open to give people the space to experiment and also getting that feedback, see what comes out of that. And many times actually build on those products. To Sam's point of, you gave an idea to an engineering manager, and before you knew it, it was a function on the screen. So it's having that space, and I think that's within the Bloomberg culture, is imbibed in the Bloomberg culture, to experiment and to innovate. That's where our products come from.
And Somto, I'd love to hear your perspective because you just walked in the door the other day, apparently.
I agree with everything that has been said. And I feel like, first of all, at Bloomberg, we're not innovating just for the sake of it. We're innovating with the customers in mind. We're thinking of how a new process is going to make things better, how it's going to improve things. So when we lead with that, we already know what we are going to measure, like what counts as an improvement, first of all. And we already know what metrics matter for that particular change. We know what to test properly, what to check, and then we kind of just make sure that we have guardrails in place in case anything happens. So while we're doing this, we're testing extensively, we're making sure it meets certain benchmarks, and we're also communicating with the customers so that they know what exactly is changing and what could happen from there. And I think everything together, added with the psychology safety that was mentioned, everything together kind of makes, because with the psychology safety thing now, when you're working in a team, you take ownership of whatever you're doing, and you feel free to try things out. Like, you can bring up ideas and you can hypothesize that this will change this way. And then when there's all of that working together, we find ourselves being able to innovate while maintaining the quality that our customers know and love us for.
Amazing.
I just wanted to add something onto there in terms of kind of experimenting and wanting to do better for our clients. I feel like sometimes it doesn't have to be actually working on a project for the client itself, but what can we do to make ourselves more efficient within the team so that we can free up time to do more interesting projects for the clients as well. So whether that's, there's a process within the team that's very tedious, very slow, people have been complaining about it, that's an opportunity for someone or people within the team to take ownership of that. And that's a way that can help us so that we can actually help our clients as well. So that's something I found very interesting and trying to promote within our team as well. Like, how can we improve our processes? Yeah.
Thank you. And the organizers are about to kick us off the stage. But before we go, tomorrow is World Mental Health Day, I believe. So I just wanted to do a quick rapid fire on what's your mental health tip for everyone. Mine is sound baths and gong baths, if you haven't had one yet.
Sleep, get enough sleep. 8 hours, you need that. That's
I'd say moving, going to the gym, yoga, bonus points if you get to experience some fresh air and the sun, but moving.
I would say breaking the stigma and talking about mental health is definitely, especially within the black community and especially within black men, definitely speak up.
I'd say mine is I don't have to give 100% to every single thing 24/7. I'm capable. It's okay. I can take a step back. I can take a break. And I feel like that's very important to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.